Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the January 28th Talk About It Tuesday. We're going to have Sarah Warner from DATAMARK Technologies join us and talk about their VEP updates. We'll have some training updates and reminders. And at any time you have a question, just let us know, but we'll have a couple of chances for you to ask questions. So Sarah, I'm going to go ahead and unshare my screen and let you get started. Oh, we're not hearing you now.
Sorry, my microphone was down. Thank you so much. Can you see my screen okay?
We can, thank you.
All right. Well, hey, everyone. Thank you so much for having me again. We had a VEP release about a month and a half ago. So going to just talk through the enhancements and fixes that were implemented that impact Alabama. And if you have any questions at all, feel free to interrupt me, put them in the chat, ask after, whatever you like. Let me turn my video off so I'm not distracting myself here. All right. So just a reminder, we have 4 releases a year, 4 major releases a year every quarter. This quarter, we're actually having a small intermediary release that's going to be happening on the 9th of February. So we'll have a few items that roll out. I can talk a little bit to those here in a moment, but this was our 4th quarter release of 2024. So you'll see the managed schemas got moved from the admin module to the utilities module. If you have been looking for it, here's where it is. If you have any issues seeing it, you may just need to refresh your browser in case it's cached. So just a heads up there. If you've gone to manage schemas and you're like, it's empty, refresh that and you'll be able to see that. We also updated some of the language. So when you submit an upload or an edit session, and as an admin, you approve it, instead of saying pending now, it will say processing. So you know it's being joined up with the database. For downloads, we made a couple changes to the Nina V2 downloads. We've got a couple more coming in our intermediary release. So just a heads up there to ensure correct domain values. For our uploads, you'll see now if you didn't map a field on the upload page, it will be bolded to try to help identify the fields that aren't mapped to make sure those were intended. So just a little UI or user interface update right there. For dashboard and reporting on our individual jurisdiction validations, you'll see everything, every single possible single jurisdiction validation displayed in the dashboard. So if it has an NA, that means that A, you've never run that validation, or B, you've run it, but it doesn't have any data set loaded in for it. So in this example, you'll see animal control boundary. That is a data set that not a lot of people have loaded up. So you'll see it in the dashboard now, but it'll probably say NA if you've never had any data in there. VEP currently has 131 single jurisdiction validations. They should all be displayed now. Also in the downloaded validation results, so when you go and run your validations, you download those results, these should all be grouped by feature class now, whether they have 0 anomalies or lots of anomalies. You should see that grouped by feature class in that downloaded results kind of table you can open up. If you have a validation that's marked with 100% exceptions, these will also be displayed in the dashboard and the reports. Again, every single validation should be in the reports and in the dashboards, whether it has 0 anomalies, 100% exceptions, everything should be there. All right, let's talk a little bit about aggregations. We made some updates to our collaboration portal pages. You'll see a new tab here for scheduled data aggregations. We wanted to enhance the usability, make it easier to look at what aggregations have been run, what has been scheduled, and broke the page out a little bit differently now. So you'll be able to to identify the differences between what's scheduled, what's run, what's happening. In addition to that, we've added the ability to edit a scheduled data aggregation. There's this edit button here now under action. If you go to the scheduled tab, you can edit the occurrences of when your data is ready to be scheduled for aggregation, or if you're an aggregator when you have a aggregation scheduled. So you've got some ability now to not just cancel a recurring or scheduled aggregation, but you can change the time and the frequency, add a note, update it. Around VEP, you'll probably, if you didn't notice, you'll see a lot of pop-ups have been removed. Some of the text has been updated. The pop-up text has been updated. We're continuing to work on making the user experience better, making sure you don't have to click through a ton of pop-ups that you don't need to. I don't know exactly how many we've removed, but the number is quite a bit, and we're going to continue to remove more throughout the year and work on making the language easier to understand, make sure you're not having to click extra. So we're still working through this, but we've done a lot of change to the text and pop-ups throughout all of VEP. All right, external NGUID configuration. So your external NGUID in VEP is the primary key of every single record in our system. Every single record has to have one. It's how we identify every unique record for every unique layer or table. VEP used to just accept integer values. So you had to have kind of this numeric value that had to be so many characters that made up your external NGUID. In this release, this is a really big release for us. We've made it possible that you can have a different type of external NGUID now. You can use a GUID or a global ID or a text character, integers, a combination of these values, and we can configure that for you in VEP. So these are just kind of some examples of what types of external NGUIDs you can use now. Strings, you can use integers, you can use GUIDs or global IDs that write out of Esri, or a combination of these things with a prefix and a suffix, integers in the middle. So if you're wondering, I want to do this, how do I request to reconfigure my external NGUID? There's a couple ways. You can create a support ticket, or you can reach out to Annie Cahill, who's your client success manager. If you create a support ticket, Annie will reach out to you anyway, talk through this, make sure she understands the request and she can convey it to my team on the product side of the house. Some things she'll ask you are, which layers do you want to have reconfigured? Is it everything? Is it just a couple of your layers? What format do you want that to be in? There's a really important warning caveat here if you reconfigure your external NGUIDs. So once that reconfiguration happens, that layer essentially gets wiped out of VEP, all the data in it, and you're going to have to re-upload it. In addition to that, all of your markups will get wiped out too. And you'll have to rerun your validations. And Annie can work with you on, say you have exceptions marked, those will all need to be referenced with the new external NGUID, and there's going to be some work that has to happen there to reconcile those updates. Are there any questions about external NGUID? I know that's a lot. That's a big one.
Hey, Sarah, this is Anderson.
Yeah.
I want to speak to this at the end of your time, but
Okay.
for a point of clarity, with reconfiguring your external IDs, does that also, I'm assuming that also would eliminate any exceptions they've marked with their old unique ID field?
Yes, sir. Yeah, if you don't have a way to crosswalk those exceptions over, then you're going to have to remark your exceptions, which is a big update. There may be a way to do that, and Annie can help you kind of work through that process. But yeah, it's a really important consideration before thinking about doing this. And that's why we have, if anybody requests this, we make sure their client success manager reaches out to them, talks through the process, make sure you have a game plan. You understand all the changes that are going to happen, and everybody feels good before we press go. Any other questions here? Comments? Okay, cool. All right, automated uploads, which is a premium feature. You can now perform an automated upload from a versioned SDE without having issues. If you use automated upload, please be sure after each release where we have updates to download the new tool, gets updated. In our intermediary release coming on the 9th, we've got some automated upload communication improvements. So if your tool fails, let's say the verify step, it's going to send you an email that gives you a little text file that tells you everything that occurred that didn't allow your upload to succeed. So got a couple little improvements coming to help you understand why, if your automated upload didn't succeed, what's happening. Just like you would in VEP, you have that kind of message that says, hey, you have null geometries or something happening here. That's coming in the next couple weeks here. Parcel validations, which are a premium feature. I don't believe anyone here is using those, but just a heads up, we've added some things. We added a matching geometry validation. So if you've got, duplicate parcels, it'll flag those. We also made a bunch of improvements to our gap and overlap logic for parcels. It's a little bit more complicated than, say, a PSAT boundary or a fire boundary. So we enhanced that logic a bit, and then made some changes for our KAMA and parcel ID mismatch validations. So for validations, we removed the incorporated municipality is null checks from address point and road center lines. There is still a check that says, hey, your incorporated municipality field is blank, which is different than a true null, but it will no longer flag if those values are null. We also did a lot of work on the validation 12-1, which is digitized direction. Specifically to the road center line directionality does not match the corresponding order of the address points. If you have a road center line with one address point on each side, it's no longer going to flag this validation. And we tried to get the logic as close as we could to all the different scenarios that happen in data. We got it pretty close, but you may still need to mark exceptions if you see something like, sometimes around cul-de-sacs, it's really difficult to get exactly what's happening between the address points and the road center lines. It's based on, where the address point falls in relation to the start and end point of a road. So just a heads up there. If you see different results there, that's because we did a lot of work on improving this logic set. And finally, bug fixes. If you go to layer configuration, you used to take a field to change the order and it like automatically bring you all the way to the top of the page. We fixed that. In your manage schema module, if you have a ton of schemas saved, those page arrows will work now. If all the anomalies for a validation are resolved, then you'll no longer see exceptions marked. There's no reason to have exceptions in your dashboard marked if you have 0 anomalies. So unmarked exceptions will persist after upload and a validation run. If you had exceptions that were unmarked, they'll maintain their unmarked status after each subsequent validation run. We also noticed that blank validation fields were getting created from the manage anomalies module. So if you were unmarking anomalies in that manage anomalies page, null values were getting inserted into a couple of the fields. I'm sorry, blank values. So we're making sure those stay null. Blank is not great for data. And then just fixed up our dashboard to be able to see the historical anomaly counts over time with that little graph you see there. All right, questions, thoughts, comments? I'm ready for them.
If you've got any questions, feel free to drop them in chat or
Sure.
Unmute yourself.
I'd like to take this opportunity to point out that Sarah is being exceptionally humble in talking about the unique ID update. That is a major major enhancement to the VEB product. And I say that to highlight DataMark's willingness to listen and their flexibility and their willingness to overhaul their product in a pretty revolutionary way based on your interaction and your feedback. Sarah has visited our office several times to spend an entire day talking about how to better the VEP product. And, I would encourage you to utilize their support tickets, utilize their enhancement forums, and, reach out to me with your interactions. Amy Cahill is another great resource inside the DataMark framework to let us know. I'm actually in a training VEP right now, and we've already come up with some ideas that Annie's going to take back to the product development team. Uh, Christy Nolter from Madison County brought up that she ran into a validation bug that it is going to be fixed in the next quarterly release. These are the things that I want to hear from you guys, and the DataMark truly wants to hear from you guys to help make their product better.
We do. Thank you. Yeah, that external NGUID project took us about 15 or 16 months of
I was going to say
work.
2 years. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been griping about it for 2 years, so I'm excited about it.
Yeah, it's a big overhaul to change the way your entire system uses the primary key and the flexibility of being able to use different primary keys. So yeah, it was a lot. I could tell you the person on my team that does the bulk of the testing for the external NGUID redesign lives here in Tallahassee, and I definitely took him out for pizza. We had when we deployed this release, I said, let's go, let's celebrate this. It was a
He doesn't
big
know my
undertaking.
name, does he? Like I'm not on a hit list somewhere down in Tallahassee, right? Like
No, he's a good sport. He's a good, and we've had a lot of requests for this over time. It just took us the right people in the right place to think through all the different logistics of how to make this happen, everything that had to be updated to do that. So
feel like if I stop and get gas in Tallahassee, I'm gonna get kneecapped.
no way. Yeah, and I know DataMark crew is coming to the conference. Is it next week?
It is. I'm sure Laura's got some things to talk about that. So I was gonna
Yeah.
bring up the DataMark stuff about that when Laura dives off into the conference stuff.
But definitely, Caitlin Jamoka, who is our product manager, will be out there. So if you've got other ideas, she would love to hear them. Visit her, chat with her. She really is interested in the feedback to make the product better. So I hope everybody has an amazing time at the conference. I'm sorry I can't make it this year. Any other comments before I part ways?
Okay, well, thank you so much,
Thank you so
Sarah.
much for having me. Have a wonderful time at your
Thank you, Sarah.
conference and a great rest of your day. Thanks again.
Thank you. Yeah, we're gonna miss seeing you. All
And
right.
Michelle, I'll send you the presentation right after this. So you can
Yeah,
check
that'd be
it out.
great. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Have a good one.
You too. Okay, Laura, do you want to take it from here?
Hey, yes, everybody. So first, let me say I do not actually have a conference slide in this because registration closes in 2 days, and we are packed, y'all. It's going to be a big house, a full house. I will tag on to what Anderson was saying. So DataMark will be there in the vendor hall on Tuesday and Wednesday. They will also have a doctor's office a full day. If you've registered for the conference, you know that. And if you selected that, you will be sent a time today to appear and meet with the guys at DataMark. But of course, you can always pop in during that if you did not register for the that particular day, and speak to them, of course, at their booth as well. And I'm pretty sure there'll be people there the entire conference. So if no one else, obviously Anderson will be the one to grab if you can't find any of them, if you have any issues or things that have to do with DataMark. So we're super excited about the conference. Registration does close Thursday, and we have very few tickets left. And by very few, I mean we probably are going to pack the house out, and it's going to be awesome. So we're real excited about that. If you have any questions, of course you can email me or search our social media or website, because all the things are everywhere, posted everywhere. But as most of you probably already know or should know, the rule changes for the PST certification mandate were in effect as of January 11th, and there'll be a slide about a meeting for that. But if you have not attended a meeting, you're not familiar with the rules, it is now required that 100% of PSTs and primary PSAPs be certified, not 60. And to assist in removing any hurdles that you guys have in getting your people certified, especially preferring an in-person course, which I always say is best, if at all possible. We are having our contract instructor go across the state monthly, and by mid-February, we will have the rest of the year scheduled. And we will put them all on our training website or training page, that I'm about to put that link in for everybody. But the next one we have is February 10th through 14th. It is in Montgomery, and it is in our office. This is one of the instances in which you do not have to put any money outright, and wait for a refund from us, or I guess reimbursement, not refund, but a reimbursement. So if you have not registered someone and you need to get your PST certified, now is the time. And I'm putting this link right here in the chat. That's not just for the 40-hour courses, that's for any other training that we have open for registration. So you can go ahead and click forward, Michelle. So as I mentioned, this required leadership meeting, one member of ECD and one member of each PSAP, if they're not the same person, need to attend one of these meetings. You can see we have already had 6 of them. Tomorrow is 7 and Thursday is 8. So those invitations have already been sent out. There are no longer options to add to those meetings. We do have one more in person for the 3rd, which is at our user conference on Monday next week. And if you want to be a part of that and you have not signed up by the email that was sent to everyone, you can email me directly, and I will send those invitations out on Friday for the time. It will likely be done during lunch. There will be an 1.5-hour lunch break from the CISA 911 cyber resilient workshop that we will be having as our pre-conference course. And I do not have any desire to take anyone away from that, because that is so valuable. We don't want anybody to miss that and to take away from everyone who will be presenting that day. So we will do this during lunch. However, this should not last more than 30 minutes. And so you should still have a full hour for lunch that day. But I will send this invitation out Friday. So anybody else who wants to sign up for it needs to do that before Friday. If for some reason you were signed up for one of these meetings, excuse me, y'all. If you guys were signed up for one of these meetings and were not able to attend for whatever reason, or you are not able to attend any of these last ones that we have, email me, because once we finish and do the last meeting, I will have a list of people who have not attended. And I will be either calling, emailing, and or visiting so that I can go over this information in person with each of you. So please just email me or call me if you are not able to or have not been able to attend one of these meetings, so that we can make sure you have all the information you need moving forward. I'm good for the next. And the annual ECD certification form deadline is this Friday. There are still 29 ECDs who have not completed their annual certification form. So if you are one of those 29 people, that should definitely be a priority this week. If you have questions, you can email education@AL. Let's see, I'm putting it in here. Or Daniel at 911board.com. Sorry, I should have typed that in before. If you have questions about finishing the form. Maybe you've started it, you thought you finished it. There's also YouTube. Our YouTube channel has a how-to, and it is a 9-minute video, but it goes through all the steps, and then you wouldn't have to be on a phone call at a time that might not be convenient for you, and that is convenient for him, or vice versa. So I highly encourage you to watch the video. There's also a Talk About It Tuesday. Thank you, Michelle, for putting, or Daniel, for putting that in there. There's a Talk About It Tuesday that he completed, that you can also watch. So that should answer all of your questions. But if you find yourself in need of a question being answered, please feel free to email us during, any time, and we'll respond during business hours and get you helped for that.
I'll go ahead and I'll put those links in these slides. So when we upload it, when I upload the PDF of these slides, you'll be able to have those links.
Perfect. Thank you. So we announced this, I believe it was last week, maybe it was Monday, I can't recall, but March 18th in Dothan, we are partnering with SEAL to bring the Healthy Dispatcher to for an 8-hour course. And we already have, I think, over 20 people registered for this, which is fantastic. There's a large maximum number, so we still have plenty of seats left, but as fast as they're going, I suggest registering quickly. That same link that I put earlier is applicable here. Click on that and you can select any other trainings that we have. And we are working, obviously, user conference has been at the top of our list, but it is happening next week. So as soon as that is over, we will be finalizing the 2025 schedule for training and be putting that out. But I can just say that we will have CMCP in June. We will have Survive and Thrive 2 different times. It's 2 days, a 2-day course, and that's from 911 Training Institute. We will have those, one I believe in April, and the other will be in the summertime at different locations, among many, many others. We had a request for a CTO course, so I'm working on that as well. So a lot of things coming down the pipeline for you guys and your people, and I hope you all take advantage of that. I will say that in 2024, 58% of the PSAPs in the state participated in our training, which means 42% did not. And that is so sad because it's free and there were over 390 hours of in-person training. So I highly encourage you to send your people. You should have plenty of notice and invest in them so that they can make your center as good as it can be. I'm ready for the next. Or if there is a next, is there next?
I was going to say, tentatively, we've got our February 11th, Talk About It Tuesday, scheduled to do a user conference recap. That is the second Tuesday of February.
Yes. Yeah. If anybody has any questions about any of those things, please feel free to message, unmute, or email me any of the things that I was discussing training-wise and education. Conference is going to be fantastic. I am so excited. Hey, you guys should be receiving an email later today if you have registered for the conference, but I'm going to go ahead and give you forewarning. If you are attending our casino night, we want to see the best of the best. We're all going to dress up. Leah and I are in talks with the men in our office to encourage them to wear tuxedos for fun. None of you are required to do that. However, we would love to have the theme elevated. So please come dressed like you would dress. Oh, Anderson, I saw your thumbs down. Don't even act like you don't want to dress up. He's excited. Don't worry. He's just faking. But, we're going to have the casino night where you get to use your casino winnings, which will be fake money. We are a state organization. However, we're going to have an awesome silent auction. You'll be able to use the money that we give you and that you earn during the evening, or that you win, to bid on silent auction items. And we also have a magician that will be there who is going to be incredible. So it's going to be a night to remember for sure. Leah, did you?
I did, but it has to do with the ECD annual certification. I was trying to jump in whenever that was talked about, but you keep rolling and then I'll circle back. I was fielding a couple of phone calls and I wanted to share what was on those phone calls with everybody because it's helpful for those that are trying to round out their ECD annual certification. So if you're finished, I'll go.
I'm done.
Okay. For everybody that's on here and maybe hasn't finished their ECD certification, We have found that some folks thought they had completed it and they hadn't. Like, make sure you watch that video, and it tells you where to go. Another point that I actually, just while this has been going on, answered a couple of phone calls about this. If your call statistics are not pre-filled, it's okay. And also, if you don't have access to those statistics, because a couple of you have reported that they're not available to you, that's not a required field. We thought the functionality of it worked a little differently until we found a couple of nuances. And as always, we're learning with a new process, but overwhelmingly, we think this process has been a lot easier and a lot quicker for everybody based on all the feedback. But that being said, don't get bent out of the frame for that. We will follow up with any additional information that we need, but some of those fields are not required. So you can advance past them and it not impact your ability to complete it. So just wanted to share that.
Does anybody have any other questions for any of us about any topic?
I have been informed by Laura that while I can participate in casino games, I cannot cash in my money for any winning. So therefore, I'm just putting it out there that I can't be bribed.
An extra drink ticket, Anderson? Is that what you're trying to say?
I mean, you know, all options are on the table.
All right. Well, again, thank you for joining us for this January 28th edition of Talk About It Tuesday. Yes, it is nearly the end of January. We will see you next week at the user conference, hopefully. And if not, we'll see you back here on Talk About It Tuesday on February 11th. Thank you, everybody. Y'all have a good week.
Bye.